Today I wanted to speak about sacred geometry and specifically its relationship to cosmic law, because sacred geometry cannot be understood without first having a basic understanding of the cosmic laws of the universe. And these laws were created by Ra, or God himself. When he created the universe, he created the laws and then he created the universe with those laws. When he created mankind, he gave him a nous, or highly developed mental capacity that could think and decide and put things together for itself. Something that every other species in creation is missing or has a much smaller capacity for. Because man has this possibility to act not in accordance with cosmic law, one thing the ancient Egyptian sages did is to give the sacred laws of the universe names, and they personified them and called them netters. So what is normally referred to as the gods of Egypt are actually personifications of sacred law. Sacred geometry is a form of sacred knowledge, and this knowledge is quite different from human knowledge, because human knowledge comes from the mind and it satisfies the mind, whereas sacred knowledge comes from above. It's a direct download from Ra himself, and this is how sacred laws are revealed. The human knowledge that is generated by the mind and stored in the mind can be lost or forgotten. But the sacred knowledge bypasses the mind and goes straight into the heart, where it is stored as wisdom. If you want to study the sacred laws of the universe, the first place to begin is by studying nature, because that's where it is first manifest. This is God's creation, or Ra's creation. And those same principles you find in nature, you'll find in sacred geometry. You cannot see the sacred laws of the universe in operation, but you can see the traces they leave behind them, or their manifestations. One of the most obvious ways these manifest is through number and pattern. And so we see shapes like the circle, the spiral, that are repeating constantly both in nature and in sacred geometry. Once you recognize these patterns, you will start to see endless examples in flowers and plants, in seashells and crystals. Even the human body houses many examples of such harmonious proportions, which Leonardo da Vinci so perfectly expressed in this drawing. The second place to study sacred geometry is in the sacred arts and sciences, and these are the legacy that the great traditions have left us. Let's start with the circle. The circle is found everywhere in nature. You can see so many examples of it. But for man to draw a perfect circle, he needs a compass. So the first tool of sacred geometry is the compass. And that allows us to draw the perfect circle. And by putting the point of the compass on one edge of the circle, we can create the vesica piscis, which is a very sacred shape, again found often in nature, but in sacred art it plays a special role. From that we can also create the flower of life pattern, the 6-petal flower. So this is the man-made creation, and there's also the natural one, the real six-petal flower. The second tool of sacred geometry is the straight edge, or better, the set square. And that gives us the line. And by drawing that line across the flower of life pattern, and then dropping a vertical line through it, we get the 90-degree angle, which allows us to construct a square and the other geometric shapes that derive from it. Effectively, these two tools generate two opposite principles that we can call male and female. The compass gives us the circle, the curve, and other female shapes, whereas the straight edge gives us the line, the square, and associated male shapes. So using the two together makes sacred geometry a perfect marriage between them. Often the easiest place to begin seeing the golden ratio and other sacred geometric forms is in sacred architecture, since the ancient architects always worked in accordance with cosmic law when they drew up their floor plans and architectural elements. One of the constructs of sacred geometry is the spiral, and this spiral is generated by a sequence of numbers called the Fibonacci series. One of the things the Fibonacci series gives us is the ideal proportion called pi, or the golden ratio. This is used throughout sacred architecture because it is such a harmonious proportion that, although you're unaware of its mathematical construction, your heart simply feels it. Another great place to study sacred geometry is in the Islamic star patterns, which reflect the marriage of the circle and the straight edge through joining the dots that the circles create. And these incredible patterns can convey so much information on a wide range of subjects. The purpose of sacred geometry is to stimulate the awareness in man of the existence of cosmic law, to remind him of his place in the universe and how he's an integral part of nature. Everything in nature is interconnected, like we saw with the Islamic star patterns, and so every aspect of creation is a part of that, including mankind. Even though you may not be consciously aware of it, the harmonious proportions of sacred geometry do have an effect upon man because they appeal to his spirit. This is why things like sacred music and dance appeal to the child in us, because they resonate with our inner being and are free of any kind of mind activity. Quite simply, sacred geometry helps us reconnect, realign, and resonate with the cosmic laws of the universe.